Today we're going to be talking about Sound Hunter 5 Enigma Machine. I've seen a few tutorials. I believe some of them leave some stuff out or make some stuff unclear. So I wanted to do my best to make a tutorial where everything makes sense and that is hopefully easily understandable. Um, if you have the Enigma Machine mod through JGSME enabled for Wolves of Steel, you will sometimes receive messages like these from Bidou. Um, the first thing that you'll notice is obviously it's just gibberish. That's how you know that it's something encoded by Enigma. And even if you think, oh, maybe it's just Polish and not just gibberish, if you check the first two four-letter phrases and the last two four-letter phrases of each message should be the same. These are basically the code phrases. So the first thing that you should do is you should check what day is it, or better yet, check what day and what month was the message actually sent to you. Because if you got it yesterday, the cipher that they used to encrypt it is going to be different than the cipher that you're using today to unencrypt it. So, what you're going to do is you're going to look at this little pamphlet right here. If you don't know how to bring up Enigma, you want to go to the second station from the right here. I believe this is the Radio Man. I have the mod enabled that sets it to stations instead of the officers because I'm just a little bit stupid. I'm going to click on this, then click on E for Enigma. It'll pause the game because the Enigma machine setting up is a bit of a lengthy process. I'm not sure if you can set it to anything different. I think that this is just a default. This is kind of what we have to deal with. Realism be damned at this point. Actually, yeah, you can unpause the game. Well, that's learn something new every day. So the first thing you want to do, as I said, check what day did it come in. Then you want to go here, and for this mod, no matter what you open up, the top left of every interface is always going to be the place where you move it. Here you can see I already just typed in some gibberish just to set up the audio and stuff like that. But no matter what you open up, the top left is always going to be moving it, unlike the regular base game where it's the top. So first thing, you want to open up this Doppelbuch, whatever, and you want to look at the Tauchtafelplan down here. Now, you want to look what month am I in. This is the 1st of September. Now, some people may find it hard to remember, correlating the numbers to actual months. So we have 6 here, which means 7, 8, 9, we're in September. So the word for September is Teich. Now, of course, if you don't speak German, it might be a bit hard to actually, remember, but it shouldn't be the biggest problem. Now, then you can click either in the middle here, up here, basically anywhere but this Tauchtafelplan. And then you'll see this, which will look very confusing, but I swear it is not nearly as confusing as it looks like. Now, what I like to do is I like to just use this little thing here in game. There's not really a better note-taking thing for this specifically that I've found yet, but you can either do this on a note in front of you or a text editor on your other screen or just whatever you want to do. But what you want to do is I note down the phrase that we actually have, which is CMEKBAJE, which I note down here by clicking inside this right area here and then just typing. And then you want to look up here. You will see it's basically the alphabet and then there's like an A, B, and whatever after it. So you want to take the first two letters here, which is C and M. So you search for C, go down to M, you see QB. QB. Note that down. Now, the way that you would note this down physically is a bit different than I do here, but that's just because here I can't write them underneath each other. I'll throw something up on the screen to make more clear how you should actually note it down and how, as far as I know at least, it was actually done. Because, it'll be important later and it'll just be easier. It's just I do it like this because I just don't feel like tabbing out or having a note in front of me all the time. So QB correlates to CM, then we go to EK, which is EK, which correlates to CT. Then I like to put in a space because it separates it nicely. Then BA, which is the first one here, which is PA. And then JE, which is JEFW. So you'll see here we have OBCT PAFW. Still gibberish, right? It's supposed to still be gibberish. Don't worry, we'll get there soon-ish, kind of, maybe. So if you wrote this down physically, again, I'm gonna throw it up on the screen here. How you want to do it. It should still be somewhere here if I can find a place to put it properly. What you would have done is you would have written the Q and B next to each other, and then the C and T under them, under the Q and the B, also next to each other. So you would have two columns, actually, yeah, 2 columns and 4 down. What I like to do, just again for simplicity's sake, is I go here and I just take, first, third, and then the first and the third again. So I go QC, PF, and then BT, AW. Again, this is a horrible, horrendous, hacky way to do it. It's just how I do it because I'm lazy and don't want to tab out. But just, whatever floats your boat, however you want to note it down. The only important thing is that you note it down in a way where you get exactly this, these 2 4-letter combos here. Because what we're going to do with these now is I'm just going to move this over here because we're not going to need this for now. We can close out of this. We don't need this anymore. So next, we're going to go into this little red booklet here, the Renngruppenbuch. We're going to go to the third option here, which says Gruppenliste or Groups List in English. Luckily, they wrote it under most of the stuff in English. And you'll look at the first 4 letters here. If you wrote it down on a physical piece of paper under each other, it'll be the left column. Just whatever you do, if you're following along, which I would highly suggest because you can see, the correct answer here, so you know if you're doing it correctly. You want to make sure that you have this. This is going to change every time, obviously, based on the message, based on a code phrase. But for this specific message here, you want to have QCPF. Then you want to just entirely drop the first letter and only look at CPF. You go here, click on C, click over until you see CP, and then go down to CPF, and you'll notice 166. You want to keep that in mind. If you're not entirely sure that you got it right, as in you're not entirely sure that you looked at the right thing here, you can go to the Spaltenliste, go to where 166 should be, look at 166, and if you go down here, you see this one CPF, which means you did it right. I don't think that there's ever a need to cross-reference that, because, you can just look that you did it right, but yeah. After this, you want to go to the Zuteilungsliste für Renngruppen, allocation list for indicator groups, and you want to, again, remember, you can write it down if you want, 166. You want to look which range you fall into here. Now, an important note here is that for most of the game, if you look at the cipher areas, Schlüsselbereiche here, you will see that most of the game you're probably going to be assigned to Hydra, because the first ones that really kick in for anything are either the really distant waters, which you're likely not going to get to, or the anti-Soviet campaigns, which are also likely going to be different subs. So probably the only ones that you're really gonna get are Triton here from late 41 onwards, and or Medusa, which is the med still. It's kind of confusing, but yeah, most of the time you're probably going to be Hydra, but don't assume that you're Hydra. So we look here, 166 falls in the range of 151 to 190, which means we are Hydra. This is important to remember because now, also, I should mention there are instructions up here. If, you forget something, you can look at this. Want to close out of this and go into this little third booklet here. Luckily, everything is nice and in order. And we want to put in Hydra, which is our Schlüssel, and then choose the month that we're in, which from the start we still know is September, 1st of September. So September 39, Hydra, and you want to click on just basically any lower part here and click, and you'll see something pop up that'll make you even more confused. From here, on the left here, it says Tag, which means day in German. And here it says Innere Einstellung, which is inner settings, also in German. If you haven't noticed, we are on a German submarine. Don't be surprised. So, it is the 1st of September. The message was sent on the 1st of September, which means we want to look at the day span of 1 and 2 here. You'll notice everything's always divided up into 2-day groups. The only exception being, if we look at October here, for example, if a month has a 31st day, it'll only be 1. And or February, if it would let me click backwards, you'll notice it ends a bit sooner. But that should not be an issue. So we go to the September and we look at the inner settings here. So what we want to do is, since it's the 1st, we go to this 1 or 2. We want to click, basically you can click anywhere here, but I like to click here on this little thing, this little screw or whatever it is, and you want to look at the wheels that you have in here. Now currently, when you open it up for the first time, on either a save that you just loaded, a new save that you created, or basically anytime else where you haven't used it previously since you've loaded the game, it'll be beta 1, 2, 3, and they'll all be set to 8. So what I like to do is I like to just take them, put them all down here in their slots, which if you're confused as to why, say, you can't place this one back, you have to actually click on the appropriate slot for the wheel, which you'll see, under here. And you'll also be able to see under here, once you pick it up, you'll be able to see a little 3 or whatever. So we see the first wheel is beta for the entire month, which means we can remember that in case we get any other messages. And it's already set to alpha, which is good. Then we look at the second one, which are all Roman numerals. Don't get confused. These are not I's. These are 1, 3, and 8. Want to look at number 3, which is right here. And they want us to set it to B for Bravo. Want to put that into the second slot. Then number 8, which is over here. Set that to O for Oscar. Put that in the third slot. The last one is number 1, set to N for November. Perfect. And now the inner side is already done. And click on this little tab up here to close it. A little black tab in the top right. Now, you want to click on this little arrow to flip the page around, and it'll look even more confusing. And we want to click on these little pegs down here that you can see. And you'll notice this is the Enigma pegboard, which I'm sure you've seen and or heard a ton about if you've watched either the movie that I can't remember the name of, or just generally heard some Enigma discourse. Here we want to look again at the day. Here, every day the pegboard settings change. This is why they can allow themselves to have the same inner settings for 2 days in a row, because they have different outer settings here. So, want to look at the first one. It doesn't matter if you click on 26 first or 19 first. Each way will work. It just matters that you connect them. So you just want to 2516, for example, click on 25, click on 16, and you can see that they're connected. And like I said, you can click on 13 first, for example, and then on 24, doesn't matter, they'll connect the same way. If you just want to fill these out, 7, 23, 21, 5, 4, 18, 6, 14, and 10, 9. And then click on this little part up here that looks like the side of the Enigma. It will flip back up. And now the only thing left to set here is this little Grundstellung, which is basically the code phrase. You do that by rotating these dials here. Down moves the letter up in the alphabet. So like, you know, if I scroll down, it goes C, D, E. If I scroll upward with my mouse wheel, it moves it back. So we want W, O, I, A. So we do W, O, I, A. And then we can finally get rid of the paperwork and do even more complicated thinking. So you should still have these two 4-letter phrases here written down. Well, they're not really phrases, but these 4-letter combos. And we've already used the first one. Now it's time to use the second one. So if you don't have this page open already, now is when you should open it up. And you want to go down here, look at the second batch of 4 that you have, and type in B, E, A, W. Just like you see here, just like you have your second phrase here. This is now the new Grundstellung that we want to use, which means OOSK. Here we go. And now you're finally ready to decrypt the messages, which means I like to just hit clear all, gets rid of everything here. Hopefully you have this either memorized or written down somewhere. At this point you don't need it anymore. So I hit clear all, and now we can move this to the side for now because we don't need it until we actually need to read it. Move this closer so you can see the message. And because these first two are the code phrase, we want to skip them. This is important because every time you hit one of these letters, the internal settings change, or rather these dials change, which means if you included these, everything else would still be gibberish. So you want to leave out the first two 4 letters and the last two 4 letters, or well, 4-letter pairs. So we start with VDAN. VDAN, and we go from there. And again, like I said, you want to stop before you hit the second block of 8 letters for the code phrase. So now here you have everything written down in 4-letter pairs, which kind of makes it hard to read, which means you can click into this section here, and if you want, either you can just write down everything like it says here, and then try to make sense of this, or you can try to already make sense of it over here and just remember it. Or third option, which I like to do, is I like to write it down like it would be a normal, a normal transmission, which I might hand to my canoeing or, somebody else on the boat. An important note is that an X denotes a full stop, like this here. Sometimes they'll include an X at the end, but because here the message fit perfectly into the 4-character phrases, they just skipped it. But sometimes it'll go over that. So let's say the last 2 letters are down here. What they'll do, because it's always, blocks of 4, is they will just add Z at the end. So just 2 Zs. So, like this, basically. So you can see here, the transmission that we received says, "Good job, rebase and keel for new orders." If you want, you can click send to ship log down here, and then you can see it up here. Nope. Up here in the log of your ship, which I will
Bei dem
close out of
Wetter
this now.
1, 4. Knoten.
You'll be able to see, you know, stuff like me just now loading the save game, and Enigma message, good job rebasing Keel for new orders. Perfect. So, now that that's done, the Enigma machine stays set up the exact same way, which means basically all you have to do if you were to receive another message that's encrypted is you wouldn't even have to check the first two because you already know all the settings and stuff. You would just have to go back to WOIA, which I just remember because I have done this a quadrillion times. WOIA, you would go, you know, decrypt these again, basically, so you get the 2 lines again, like we talked about earlier. Then you just type it in again, set the new passphrase, and just decode the message again. You don't have to technically go from the start, check your engruppen and all that, because, you know, it's the same day. You don't have to set up these, you don't have to change anything about the inner settings. But, you know, when tomorrow rolls around, you have to change the switchboard. When the third rolls around, you have to change the inner settings, and basically just keep on top of it. It is kind of labor intensive, but as I said, the game gets automatically paused. You can unpause it if you want the more realistic experience here.
Da ist Rauch am Horizont. Kurs 259.
And they've just spotted the ship, apparently. 259. Yep, that is definitely some Rauch on the Horizont. And yeah, now you should be able to decode the important messages that BDU sends you to send nudes at 2 a.m. fairly quickly. Most of the time, you're not going to get encrypted messages, but stuff like rebasing, they send in encrypted messages because obviously they don't want the enemy to know where all their submarines are going, how many they have stationed everywhere. But stuff like, you know, attacking all Polish vessels, stuff like that, they'll still send that just plain text because, you know, they're getting shot on land. I think it's pretty obvious that they're at war at this point. So yeah, that's it. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you around. Alright, welcome to the quick and dirty part of the video, where if you don't want to hear me yap or anything like that, I just show you how to fucking do it and just get along with it. Alright, you just got a message from BDU. You're gonna go in here, you're gonna check what word is it of the month. It is September right now. The message was sent in September, so it is Teich. You go to Teich, you click on the middle here. You look at the first 8 letters here, CMEKBAJE. So you look CM, write this down, QB, EK, go down here, CT, BA, that is PA, JE, FW. I'm going to throw up on the screen here how you're supposed to write it down physically. I just do this because this is quick and easy and you don't have to tab out, which means you don't have to wait 17 fucking hours for the game to load again. Alright, so you have these letters now. What you actually need from these letters, as I threw up on the screen here, is this. The F, BT, 8W. Alright, as I said, write it underneath each other like I have up on the screen right now. You go here, you look at this, you go to Gruppenliste, you look at the last 3 letters of the first 4-letter combo that you have, which is CPF. Go C, scroll over until you get to CP, CP, CPF, 166. You cross-reference it here. 166 falls under Hydra. You're going to be Hydra for like 99% of this godforsaken game. Go out of here. Go down to this third one. You look, September, Hydra, click on it. You look, the settings for day 1. Click on this little fucking screw right here to get inside this Enigma's guts. You see, the first one is supposed to be 3. Return all of these because they're fucking unimportant. You look at number 3, beta. Go here, 8, O. Set it to O, put it in here. 1, N. Go all the way up here and put it in here. You change these with mouse up and mouse down. Click on here, you're out of there. Click on this. You see, it's the 1st of September. The message was sent on the 1st of September. It doesn't matter what day it is, it matters when the message was sent, because that's the encryption that they used. Move this around. 26 and 19. What I like to do, because I have a little small 8 brain, is I put it like this. That way I don't have to actually remember anything. 11, 2. Doesn't matter which one you click on first. All that matters is that they get connected. It's just easier for me to do when I click on them in order. Alright, now that that's set up, you click up here again. Now, you look at what the today's passphrase is. Today it's Voya, W-O-I-A. You scroll up and down on these little wheels right here to adjust that. Set it to W-O-I-A. You got that? Close it out. You look at the last 4 letters. You put them in. B-T-A-W. What do you get out? O-O-S-K. So, you set it to O-O-S-K. Now you can decode the message. Clear all. Get this out of here because it doesn't matter. Start decoding. Want to leave out the first 8 and the last 8 letters because otherwise this gets fucked up and you can't read any of the stuff. You'll see this message here that I got is basically video telling me that I am a good little boy and that I should go to Kiel for new orders so that we can sink more enemies of the Reich. Now, if you didn't get about a part of that, go watch the long form because I explain it way better there. This is just quick and easy because I know that sometimes you don't want to watch a long tutorial. Sometimes you just want to get straight to the fucking point. I don't blame you. I do the same thing. Anyways, you guys have yourself a great one and see you around.